Okay, so when we get further into the book, Citra is doing some research about how Scythe Faraday was murdered instead of self-glean, and of course the only suspect that we can think of is Scythe Godard. Citra confides in Rowan before snapping her neck. When Rowan kind of confronts him about it and kind of insinuates that he murdered Scythe Faraday, Godard gives a really good response with, "If I did, I wouldn't really be telling you." And I believed him when, even though cliche, he would be the one to do it. But in the end, I'm glad that Scythe Godard didn't have anything to do with Scythe Faraday's gleaning or murder, because that would have been too cliche for me. So I'm glad Neil went a different route. And when we learn later that he just planned his gleaning, but he's still alive before Citra or Rowan know this, or anybody knows this, no one knows this. Citra gets blamed for his murder about a note that they found, and it's the note that they found is actually really funny. And it's Scythe Faraday, his journal entry of having a scythe looking into him at night and sneaking around him, and we find out that it was actually Scythe Curry who he was talking about. And when Scythe Curry admits to this, she feels really embarrassed, but we also get the story between them, which I had no idea. They played it so cool when they met at the conclave. We learn later on that they had a romance going on. And if you haven't read the Gleanings, the short stories, they actually just go into it just a tiny bit in the first story. I don't remember, but they go into it a little bit in the Gleanings, just a little bit, and it's very awkward in a few, and just the moment where they interact, there's some tension between them. But here in the Scythe, it's very romantic. I love this story of them being together, them not really admitting to them being in a relationship, even though they were, and they both got punished by it, and they both got gleaned 7 times or something like that. And that, to me, I was like, oh, I thought that was a really cute and romantic story between Scythe Faraday and Scythe Curry. And so Scythe Curry goes to make sure that this letter that was written about Citra was really written about Scythe Curry when she was an apprentice under Scythe Faraday. But in the meantime, when that happens, Citra gets arrested, and it's so weird when they talk about having a jail. They have no idea what that is, or they know what it is, but they have no idea. They couldn't even fathom how those jails would work in our mortal age, and how they would arrest someone, or they don't understand the concept of terrorism. But they live in such a peaceful time that they don't understand these concepts. And I'm truly jealous of this dystopian world. If I got to choose any dystopian world, it would be this one. The only thing that would scare me about this world is the creativity and how lost and uninspired these people are. The only way they don't feel any pain because they can fix it. Well, they have to depend on a scythe to glean them in order for them to die. For me, it does have this question of, what about the soul? Can the Thunderhead contain the soul? And I like how in this world, even if you splat, as they call it, even if you self-glean or unalive yourself, you're still gonna come back alive. So in this one, Citra gets arrested. She, of course, denies the fact that she's done anything wrong. She splats herself. When she's self-splatting, she's like, this is gonna be the most epic splat ever. And I have to agree, the way she just jumps off is awesome. Maybe I'm too chicken to self-splat myself, but The fact that you can jump off a building and feel that high and still come back alive is pretty thrilling. So I get it when you have those thrill junkies doing these things that would just get you killed in this world, but they'll just come back alive. While Citra is in this state of unconsciousness, the Thunderhead speaks to her. The Thunderhead has no jurisdiction over the Scythe, and because Citra is a Scythe apprentice, she technically cannot talk to the Thunderhead. The Thunderhead will not talk back to her. But in this unconscious realm, it's sort of like a no man's land where she's technically no longer a Scythe apprentice mentally. So the Thunderhead is able to talk to her, and the Thunderhead is giving her warnings and advice and possibilities of the Scythe and how she will play a key role into how the future unveils itself. Of course, I'm starting to think about all the other YA characters that have sort of the same prophecy or the same storyline. It doesn't feel too extreme, which is good. It's still very entertaining. So when Citra is talking to the Thunderhead, or when she's unconscious, you have the Scythes who are trying to take her body away, but the agents for the Thunderhead come in and take the body away, and they have that little discussion argument. And I just love the Thunderhead. I don't appreciate him at all in this first book. I appreciate him much more in the second to third book. This one, he doesn't play quite the big role as he will in the second and third book. So for this one, I didn't see the Thunderhead as an important character, but I don't see his sassiness in this book, but he definitely gives sass to the Scythe when he can, or to anyone. When we get to part 4, this is when Citra learns about the truth of Scythe Faraday's quote-unquote death, and Scythe Curry leads her to go find him. Citra, being rash, she shoots him, not knowing that it's Scythe Faraday. Once they both learn that they are the troubles that they caused, or the troubles that Scythe Faraday caused, continues training her as a Scythe apprentice. While Rowan, poor Rowan, he goes with Scythe Gadar and his groupies to do this mass gleaning at a Tonus, this temple Tonus sanctuary, and they do this mass gleaning there. One of the Scythes, he gleans children, and I think this is when Rowan has been trying so hard not to join in with Scythe Gadar's groupies. He's been doing a good job distancing himself from what he kind of feels like he wants to do, and that's gleaning. And this is the moment, this is when Rowan decides who he will be later down the line. And when this Scythe sells glean himself, that whole experience was so sad. What Rowan did when he gleaned, or he killed Scythe Gadar in the ending, I think he had every right to do that. Good deeds go unpunished, of course. Scythe Gadar was such a major threat to the Scythe. He does have Scythe execrates in his pocket. There's not much the Scythes can do against Scythe Gadar. Even though they know that Scythe Gadar is such a danger, they still would have needed to punish Rowan for being the hero. And I'm glad that he got rid of Scythe Gadar, all his groupies. Yeah, the whole part was really hard to listen to, and it's so sad.